You're listening to Darling Shine, a podcast by Elodie Pullen and myself, Chloe Fisher.
Darling Shine is your survival kit to the unexpected shit life throws at you. This episode, guys, is brought to you by Bitesoft Co. I am so excited to have the straightest teeth. Bitesoft are an Australian-owned and operated company making teeth straightening affordable and accessible with clear aligners, with the option to get started in clinic with Bitesoft or from home from your couch using an impression kit, which I have opted for. My favourite part is that you can actually choose to just wear the aligners at night. So all through the day, I'm not wearing the aligners and I'm not having to take them in and out when I'm wanting to snack all day. So I love that for me. Bitesoft want you to love your smile as well. They are giving $250 off to our listeners using code DarlingShine at bitesoftco.com. Good afternoon, darling.
Could be morning or afternoon.
Could be either or. We're cutting
You
it a little
never
bit
know.
fine this week.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe it, but it's actually Monday and the episode comes out. This comes out
Wednesday.
on Wednesday.
We had a bit of a midweek blowout last week. So Chloe had a little hangover.
You had a hangover too.
You had more of a hangover. Chloe, she saw the red carpet at the Met Gala. She just couldn't control herself.
We had our first Darling Shine event, so that was fun. Brit left her two babies at home. Elodie left Minnie with Paul. I left my husband with Minnie.
Oh, babysitting each other.
So we had
It wasn't a Darling Shine event. It was like an event for some that we got invited to, as a company. So that was really cute.
Yeah. We went and had this really nice dinner. Elodie started so we ordered these spicy margies at dinner, and they arrived, and mine was a little bit spicy. So she's like, don't worry, I'll drink it. You order another one. But before my other one had even come to the table.
No, before you'd even ordered it,
Before I even ordered my one, she had drunk both the chili margies.
I love spice. I love spice. Straight down the hatch.
Yeah,
Get them in.
We got a little bit messy at dinner, and then Elodie somehow pulled her shit together, and then
I'm all about peaking early and then tapering off. I had to drag Chloe out of there.
No.
I
had that moment, when you're getting a bit drunk and you have that, your life flashes before your eyes and you're like, holy shit, I'm really drunk. I need to get out of here immediately before I throw up. And that's what happened. I looked at you and Ellie's like, we should just smoke bomb. And I'm like, I don't think we can even smoke bomb out of this place. We're actually going to have to say goodbye, and because people
I hate saying goodbye.
In between 20 people, we're like, I smoke bomb out of that one.
We were wedged in. I was like, oh, that's right. I was like, say we're going to the bathroom. And you were like, okay, guys, Elodie wants to go. We're all going. And I was like, no, you egg. We were going to say we're going to the bathroom. We're going to fucking bail. Backdoor.
Yeah.
And then Chloe was going on about her wrist again, saying Minnie broke her wrist. But then footage emerged the next day of you carrying that massive bottle. And I remember why you hurt your wrist.
No, look, I'm not going to blame it on Minnie. I actually did start training the week before, and I say to my trainer, I've got to take it easy. And then, what do you know, he brings out 15 kilo weights. He's like, see how you go. And then didn't go so well. So anyway, it's actually feeling pretty good now. I think it was just a moment. I had a bit of a moment. But anyway, I would like to introduce to you guys our guest for this week. His name is Genoa Van Keekum, and he's our first male of the season, which is exciting. We thought we'd
take a male every season.
We'd shake things up and chuck one in there, and he was kind of perfect. We had some absolute lols.
Sorry in advance. He is he's amazing.
He really is amazing. And I thought, just through the whole climate with all the COVID shit kind of fizzling out, everyone wants to get back into their routine, get back into creating some habits for themselves, some healthy habits. So why not do a meditation episode? And Genoa specializes in Vedic meditation, which he'll speak about in the episode. And there's also a form of meditation called transcendental meditation, which I was really interested in learning about. So he explains a lot about that. We speak about how you find results. Are there results when you're meditating?
Yeah.
What else do we speak about? We also speak about
how to cure a hangover with meditation.
Yes. I'm yet to try that, but that should be an interesting
one. We talk
one.
about grief and meditation and IVF and meditation, and we just learn about the benefits and the science supporting meditation and what effect they can have on your brain and nervous system. I became so aware that I really badly need to meditate and definitely add that to my routine. We have a lot of lulls during the episode, so it is quite a serious episode, so we are sorry about a lot of the mucking around. We also had a lot of tech issues, so that kind of came into play a little bit as well, so we are going to apologise in advance for that. But overall, it's such a great episode, educational episode, I think.
Yeah. And a bit of a trigger warning for anyone that's from Adelaide, because Elodie starts pulling up on Genoa and all the ways he says chance and plant and circumstance. So
you guys need to get your act together. We are Australian. We are bogans. We are not posh. No, you guys are hilarious. The Adelaideans.
And also, which is like one thing that my favorite thing that I learned, I didn't know about, was I genuinely thought that meditation was literally chucking on an app before you go to bed and listening to a meditation from an app. And Genoa really explains how he doesn't use any apps, and like how it's all about mantras and how you get given your mantra and the different he basically trains and teaches courses, so he speaks about that as well. So yeah, we're really excited to share this episode. We hope you get a lot out of it because we really enjoyed learning about it.
Enjoy.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome, Genoa, to Darling Shine.
Girls, good to be here. Glad we finally got here.
Yeah.
Well, Genoa, would you believe, is from Byron Bay. You're kidding. And we're talking about meditation today.
What makes you say that?
Because it's funny. Byron Bay and meditation. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Everyone there meditates. Don't you reckon, Genoa?
She's been stereotypical here.
Actually, not as many as you think. It's changing a bit. It's a lot more like scene-y people coming up here, and it's not quite as like spiritual as it was back in the day.
They're pretending.
It's becoming a bit more of a mix. Yeah. So it's not. I used to think that. I was like, fuck, I'm not coming to Byron. It's too like woo-woo and hippie because that's not really my style. But now being here, I'm like, it's not too bad. It works. I fit in.
Where were you previously?
So I was in Sydney for 10 years prior to this, but I was born in Adelaide. So I was in Bondi, Sydney, Paddo, and then up here a couple of years ago I moved here. So
Paddo.
I feel like when I listened to another podcast, like I listened to a few podcasts that you've been on, and I thought you sounded like you had like a New Zealand accent, but you definitely don't have a New Zealand accent right now.
No, well, apparently South Australians, we have and I've been called out on it before, certain words that I say that's slightly different. I don't know. But it's not the first time I've heard
plant.
that.
Say plant.
See, the thing is, when you ask me to think about it, do I say plant or plant? Plant.
You guys say fucking plant and dance.
I think it's a plant. Yeah, I go plants, but I go planting.
Wait, you don't? Do you really say plant?
Well, now that you've made me think about it, it's mind fucked me. So I don't know what I actually say when I'm natural.
That's really, I've never known that.
Did you not know Adelaide? They say plant and shit down
there.
Yeah,
plant.
Wow, okay, well,
there you go. My
go.
friend was talking to me the other day and she was like, yeah, in that circumstance. And I was like, it's circumstance,
You're like, what?
mate.
Circumstances.
Do you say herbs or herbs?
Oh, herbs.
Like Americans say herbs with an
Yeah, no, I'm her.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's a H there. I think that's American herbs.
This is a great start to the convo.
Stunning start.
Judging you on your vocabulary, I love that.
All right. We are so excited to hear a little bit about your journey going into meditation and what kind of led you to learning and getting involved and like just becoming a little bit of a meditation guru.
So, I mean, prior to me becoming a meditation teacher, I hate the word guru because it sounds a bit, I don't know, I just don't like the word.
It's a bit lame.
Yeah, right. I'm not a fucking guru. I mean, the fundamental meaning of it is nice, but the idea of guru, I don't think really sits with me. So prior to being involved in meditation, I was so skeptical. I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. If someone were to say to me, oh, you should meditate or whatever, I was like, fuck that, I'm not a hippie.
Her.
And so I was, yeah, that was me. I was like, don't even worry about it. She's already thrown you under the bus. All right, good. And
yeah.
And so I was never open to it at all. And even like my old man, he's quite a spiritual hippie kind of guy. But I was like, no, stay away. I was like, I played footy. All I cared about was drinking and partying and chasing girls, and that was it. That was my thing as an early 20s guy. Anything outside of that, I was like, whatever. And so, but at the same time, I didn't realize I actually had anxiety. So I'd get so nervous and sick. I'd almost want to vomit sometimes. And I thought that was just normal. You had to push through it, right? And so I'd push through that. And of course, drinking helps that. So I'd drink more. And that was a big part of my identity also, was the party guy. But also I never felt totally happy or right. I was like, is this it? Like, is there more to the level of like my mind or what I'm doing in this world? And I was just never quite satisfied. And I still was just like, oh, I don't know what to do about that. I just, you just push through life, right? And it wasn't until I got exposed to some people by chance. So I used to work for an alcohol company. So before I became a meditation teacher, I was in the
chance.
Yes, you got it.
We're not letting any of that shit fly, mate. It's not getting past. We are going to be pulling you up on that bullshit. We are in Australia. We say fucking chance here, not chance.
We both just went chance. Sorry.
It almost gave me a shock. I was like, what did I say?
Go back and say chance.
As you were saying.
Chance. So by chance.
I'm so sorry.
So by chance, I met people who were clients of mine working in the booze industry, and they meditated, and they were normal. And one of the blokes, he was a bloke in his 60s, and he like surfed, and he was a chef, and he owned the restaurant, and he was just like a bit of a hard ass. And I was like, I respect him a lot. And he just said this one line to me once. He's like, oh, I started meditating, and I just wish I'd learned this when I was younger. And this is coming from a bloke who I was respected, who was like a bit of a lad, but older. And I was like, oh, and that was this trigger for me. I was like, okay, do I look into this? And then I started researching high performers, smashed Tim Ferriss podcast, and just the theme became so clear. I'm like, people that were at the top of their game had some kind of meditation practice, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I want to try. And so I learned, and when I learned, I decided to stick with it. I'm pretty good like that. When I invest in something, I'm like, I'm going to give it a crack, and I just stuck with it. And then things started to shift in my life, and I was like, oh, I think I get it now. And it's one of those things that I had to do it to get it. Like, you wouldn't have been able to convince, and I had to be ready as well. You could have convinced me. You could have tried to convince me as much as you like. Don't worry about it. And I had to sort of almost come there on my own, and then be like, and I experienced it. And then things started to shift for me, and that kind of led me down the path of studying to become a teacher. So I was literally opposite ends. I was going to launch a distillery. So I was like my life was booze and alcohol. That's what I did. So I knew the industry, and I was going to launch a distillery, had a business plan ready to go. That was my thing. And
no way.
Yeah.
Do you think that the two can coincide though? I just think
they do.
Launching a distillery, you can be in the alcohol industry. Doesn't mean you have to be a piss pot, and you can still meditate. Do you think you could do both?
Yeah. Well, I've done workshops where I've combined them. So we do meditation and mindfulness first, and then we do like a mindful gin tasting. So I combine it, and meditation's about performance and recovery.
Love that.
And when you're working hard and if you're drinking, you want to be able to perform and recover. So it ties in. It's just shifting your perception of what meditation means. And so I kind of enjoyed being the guy who was shifting it a little bit and challenging people to go. And they're like, hang on a second, you're out. I saw you out at 3 a.m. on the weekend, doing God knows what. And I was like, yeah. So, and they're like, and now you're here meditating, like teaching meditation to my business. I was like, yeah, I am. Yeah. And I kind of like mucking with the stigma around it. And that's kind of what that was actually a big motivator for me to become a teacher. Was like, heaps of teachers out there were a bit, from what I was exposed to, they were the purest. And it's like, I've suddenly found myself and I'm clean and blah, blah. And I'm like, that blocked it for me. So I don't want to be like that. I kind of enjoy what I'm doing over here. And so that was a big part of it. It was like, well, how can I just I still eat meat, I still love coffee, I still drink, all the rest, and still have this and teach this amazing practice, which can have a profound impact on your life. So that was kind of how the evolution of me towards becoming a teacher played out.
Oh, I love that. That's so inspiring. I'm like, I am going to become a meditator. I mean, I've like always done a bit of meditating here and there. Elodie's, we've spoken about, we've touched on meditation once or twice briefly in the podcast before. And Elodie was like, sometimes I like drive from home to the supermarket. And then I realized like how did I get here? Is that meditating? And I'm like, not quite.
Maybe it's my form of meditation, doll.
But I was like, that was so, I really like that. That's really inspiring.
That's amazing.
I definitely am going to keep
Well,
doing.
you sold me.
Yes. But I wanted to say, so you specialize in, is it Vedic meditation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't even know that there was more than one type. Well, actually, I know that there's two types, but do you want to give our listeners like a really, like speak about this Vedic meditation, how it differs from other forms of meditation?
So the interesting thing about meditation is what a lot of people believe is that meditation is just one thing, and most of it is from what we get from the apps, right? So you have this idea that you're meant to be able to clear your mind and do this kind of stuff, and it's meant to be this beautiful, blissful experience, which is not true. And I sort of liken meditation to the word exercise. So exercise is something we all know we should be doing, but lots of different ways you can do it depending on what you want to experience and what works for you. And so similar with meditation, there are lots of different types of meditation depending on what works for you and what you want to get out of it. So I try to sort of simplify it as much as I can, with there being two main types of meditation. So one being the type that is active or directive. So you're trying to do something. So pretty much all the apps involve this. So maybe you're trying to visualize something, or you're focusing on the breath, or you're doing a body scan, or maybe it's a loving kindness, or concentrating really hard on something. So all these, you are trying to do something, right? And so these are really, really great for doing at a point in time to like shift a state. So say you're feeling a bit anxious or overwhelmed or, frazzled. They're a really cool practice to do for a couple of minutes, and they can tap to bring you back and shift your state, which is really, really cool to have. Now, a lot of these techniques, however, were the ones that were practiced by monks. And so monks live very different to us. They have time to meditate for hours and contemplate. So contemplation is like to place awareness on your thoughts or something in your life that you're dealing with, right? And so they have lots of time to master these styles of meditation. This is why a lot of people, they hear yoga teachers and meditation teachers go, and leave your thoughts at the door, or clear your mind of the day, and blah, blah. When I used to hear that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You've made it worse. Like, is anyone else in this room doing that? And it's because we don't live like monks. But
it's when they say, now think about your breathing for me. Because I'm always like, what the fuck? I don't know why I can't think about my breath. Like, and then I stop breathing and I don't know. It's a mind. They mind fuck you in there.
Yeah. And so, but those techniques, they work for a lot of people, and they're great and they're powerful. And pretty much all the apps that you'll see out there are versions of these style of meditation. Now, the other style of meditation, which is what I studied and specialize in, which is where the Vedic and like Transcendental come under, is more around non-directive, right? And these work more with using a mantra. And the idea here is that these techniques are designed to use the mantra. So a mantra is an affirmation. So it's not like I am powerful or I am love. In this scenario, a mantra is a sound vibration, right? And if you want to delve into quantum physics and everything at a deeper level, is energy vibration. And so what these sounds, mantras, are designed to do are engage the mind in a way that it helps the mind to go beyond the relative thinking of the day. So most of the time we're sort of, we're doing to-do lists, and we're planning, we're worrying, and all this sort of stuff's going on. And when we start saying this sound mantra, which has no meaning, we're not trying to do anything or create anything or focus on anything or visualize something. All we're doing is just whispering this sound inside our mind. And what it does is that moves our mind out of a state of doing, and it de-excites the mind into a state of being. And you might experience this for 5 seconds. You might experience it for 5 minutes. It might be 15 minutes. And while your mind's in that zone, due to the mind and body being, well, ultimately one, not even connected, the body also then de-excites. Now, the power of the body de-exciting is it stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, repair, and healing state for us to be in. This is when we're calm and creative and expansive, as opposed to reactive, anxious, and judgmental and fiery, right? And so when we are in this state, what's also happening is, because our bodies are moving out of a state of survival which is the doing, the solving, the fixing, the rushing around, whatever. When we move out of this state, our bodies balance back up again, and we move into a state where our bodies can do what they do best, and that is process, heal, and create an environment that is the most conducive to our health, right? Because survival is about living in the moment, right here, right now. It's not about procreation or expansion or love or growth. And so we spend so much of our time in survival mode. So what we're doing is when we meditate in this style of technique is we put our bodies into this state, and we're still thinking. So the mind is still active, and the bodies are the ones that are in deep rest, and the body starts processing the old build up of stress and tension and fatigue that's in the system. So our bodies work as we accumulate stress, tension, trauma, fatigue. Our bodies carry it. And if we aren't giving our bodies enough time to process and work through this, it's going to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate until it manifests into anxiety, panic attack, insomnia, getting sick, whatever it is. And so the main types of meditation that fit under this category are Vedic and transcendental meditation, right? And so that's the style. Transcendent is to go beyond. So go beyond the relative thinking and allow the body to get into a state of rest. So the directive, think of in the now. The non-directive is more like removing stress from the past.
When you're in a really meditative state, is there like a, I don't know what the right word would be, but maybe like a clairvoyant-esque-ish state that you can be in when you're like channeling that realm?
What meditation can do is get you into a state where the barriers to experiencing things like that. So I've worked with people who are like intuitives and do this kind of work, and what they find is that from meditating regularly, that becomes stronger. So the meditation practice itself, sometimes people experience where they're like, wow, I was in some weird state, but I would say the practice itself isn't designed to get you in that zone, but it can strengthen your ability to access those different realms if that's something that you're working with. So what it's doing is it's removing barriers out of our system for us experiencing more expansion, connection, performance, depending how that looks for you.
That's amazing. And I think just in general, like when you're more present, you are more open to like those dimensions as well.
So yeah. Well, because if you're stressed or in any kind of state of fear, you're like this, right? You are not open. And it's a low vibration as well. And so by meditating, you're actually lifting where you vibrate from energetically as well. And you're opening your mind up to a different level of awareness, which is really, really cool.
I gather meditation, like obviously has everything to do with consistency and like the routine. Is that how do you measure your results of meditation and what you get out of it?
It's a good question because it's a good question because a lot of people are, okay, so by week 1, what should I experience? And by month 2, how can I measure how far I've got? And it's not how
That'd
it works.
Be me.
Firstly, we all have an extremely different nervous system. We've all experienced extremely different things. And so it's going to impact us in a totally different way. So on the whole, there tend to be things that most people experience, which are things like anxiety drops. You find that you're a lot more calm, a lot less reactive. What people find is things like your awareness. You're like, oh, I didn't even realize here that when this person says this to me, I should get quite triggered and I say this sort of thing. So it's really, really cool for you starting to check yourself, as in like you almost get like a bit of a filter between stimulus and response, maybe that you didn't need to say. And so they're little things that most people
think before you speak.
Yeah. Well,
we should have learned that before we started a podcast, let's be honest.
And so in terms of markers, there are no clear markers. So one person in the first 2 weeks of meditation might feel like shit because your body's laundering, right? So for me, I was exhausted. When I first started meditating, I was so tired. And I said to my teacher, I was like, and I'm meant to be feeling amazing and energized and clear. And she's like, it's a laundering process. So first your body has to remove the buildup of tension and stress that you put in your system. And she's like, tell me about the last 10 years of your life. And I was like, party like a fucking animal. She's like, well, there you go. So you're tired. Your body's fatigued. So you're working that out of the system before you can up level. And I was like,
like a
but
detox.
then for some people, it literally is like a emotional, physical
Purge.
detox for your system. Yeah. And that's why meditation doesn't always feel good. And this style isn't designed to feel good either. So often the first period is some discomfort. Let's work through it, because that's within your system.
Wow.
If you're just sitting there with your eyes closed, saying a mantra, and you can feel that uncomfortable, what is that telling you? That something's within you that's you didn't let that move through the system. And so that's when you'll start seeing some shifts in your life. So it's not about becoming an epic meditator. I'm 10 years in and I still have meditations where I think and I feel uncomfortable. I want to get out. It's because my body's working through stuff for me. So I'm better when I'm out and engaged in the world. But it's going to look very different for different people.
That blows my mind when physical and mental like have such reactions to each other. Like that says so much to me about like just every like, and when we talk about spirits and stuff as well, just like all of that kind of gives me goosebumps.
I did a meditation course once, and it was so crazy because they were just literally asking us to their takeaway was, you go home and you meditate for 5 minutes each morning, and you try and sit there in silence, and you can have a bell or an apple or whatever you want to do. And it's funny, it was like a 5-week course, so like 1 day a week, and then everyone would come back the next week and they're like, how many of you guys did this every day? And no one could put their hand up, and they're like, how can we not find 5 minutes in your day to do this? Like, we think that we're that time poor when, it just, I've tried, like, I love meditate. Before I go to bed every night, I will listen to a meditation. It kind of put me to sleep. And I'm very interested in like everything about it. And I really want to learn. That's why I was saying about the transcendental meditation. Like, I'm really interested in, and I probably will after this podcast get in contact with you, because I really want to do that course because I'm so interested in it and, seeing where it leads me. But I've just found it so hard personally to stick to it. And it bothers me so much because I just, for some reason, I can't commit, and I don't know why. I just, not like exactly what you said. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable and it's boring and all this, but it's like, why? I just really want to try and get that consistency.
The inconsistency and resistance to meditation is real, and it's common. And there are a few different reasons that I see a lot of people, they struggle. One is because they're doing it because they know they should, which isn't enough motivation, right? I should be doing this isn't enough. So it's really get really clear on like, why am I doing this? And what does life look like for me on the other side of doing this? And what could life look like for me if I don't start doing this? So that's one piece of it, to really get some like, why am I doing this? Because just like anything, like, you do something ridiculous, like over 90% of resolutions don't stick because there's no real charge. It's like, I know I should be doing this. I should eat better. I should train. That's not enough for us, right? You got to get something deeper. So like, why am I doing this? Another key thing about it is to get used to and be okay with the discomfort. So when you're sitting there and you're like, this feels so bad, I want to get out of here, I've got things to do, got better things to do, blah, blah, to know that experience is doing some good work for you, right? And allowing your body to sit through the discomfort is a really, really powerful experience. And that is a sign of a good meditation, as opposed to a good meditation only being one that is beautiful and blissful and empty minds and rainbows, which isn't what happens, right? And then another key to it is creating just how you were saying earlier, how you drive to the shops, you don't realize how you got there. You create it as such a habit, so you can use this amazing skill that you've mastered to master meditation. So you can create like a habit in the morning that you don't even think about anymore, that meditation fits into. So for example, you look at what you love doing in the morning. So I love coffee, right? And what I do in the morning is I wake up, I wash my face, scrape my tongue, go to the toilet and sit in bed and meditate. And then I can reward myself with coffee, and I can turn my phone on. So my phone doesn't go off airplane mode. I can't check Instagram. I can't have a coffee until I've meditated. And that's become now a routine I don't even think about. So it's not like, do I meditate today? Do I not? When do I do it? It's done. Does that make sense?
You get your reward at the end.
How many minutes a day do you meditate?
Okay, guys, a quick word from our sponsor, Bitesoft Co. Personally, I'm mainly using Bitesoft to fix my bite. My top teeth are quite straight, but my bottom teeth are actually quite crooked. So I can't wait to see what the finished product is. I found doing the initial molds of my teeth was super user-friendly to do from home, and after sending them back, I received a 3D video of my treatment plan and how my teeth were going to move and look after my treatment and free whitening foam too. So I am super excited to see my straight teeth. Don't forget, you guys can use code DarlingShine for $250 off at bitesoftco.com.
I meditate between 20 and 30 once in the morning and then often in the afternoon as well.
I thought you were going to say like 6 hours or something. You know, some like people like they're like,
No,
I do it for an hour every morning. I'm like,
No. Prime time for this is about 20 minutes per sitting.
Okay.
So to get the best out of this, 20 in the morning, 20 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
If you can't do 20, do 15.
And like, you're not timing it, are you? Because it's a natural, you go into it, you come out. You're not timing it and putting a fucking alarm on, are you? Or what are you doing?
I don't know. Some people, again, we're so used to wanting to control everything and, having everything set and get the most out of it. And so when I teach, I discourage people to set timers and you'll get used to it. Like, it's amazing what the bodies can get used to. And like, I've been doing it for a decade.
No, I wouldn't believe it if you said, oh, go and meditate for 20 minutes. It's like when someone says, you have those micro sleeps that are 20 minutes, but if you do 21 minutes, it's not good. It's void and it doesn't da-da-da. I'm like, don't tell me to nap for 20 minutes. It's going to take me 10 minutes to fall asleep, but I'm going to have set my alarm for 20 minutes and I'm only getting a 10-minute nap. And it all just doesn't make sense in my head, and I'll never switch off if I know that there's a timer on it. That wouldn't be natural for me. So
no, well, and the thing is, as part of the process, you have your whatever you watch or your phone on airplane mode there, and you close your eyes, maybe do a couple of deep breaths, bring in the mantra, and you meditate. And when you think it's been about 15, 20 minutes, you literally just check, no, we're good, another 5 to go.
I feel like time goes really slow when you meditate.
Sometimes, and sometimes it goes quick. It'll do both. Sometimes you'll have stages where like you check every time you meditate, you're like 5 minutes, 6.5, fuck, right, it's taking, and that, but then you'll have other ones where it's like, oh, wow, where did that 10 minutes go? And you'll have different experiences every time.
Okay.
Now, you can have a timer as a backup if you're worried about being late. So say you want to meditate for 20 minutes, set your timer for 25.
Yeah.
So you've got the timer there as a backup, but try to teach yourself to check and get used to that in your own way.
Yeah, like I always hear all the time of like people being like, I'm just going to pop this on and then lie there and meditate. And I'm thinking like, is there a difference between doing that and actually meditating? Because I can certainly press play on something and lie down.
I think that was where Janelle was saying at the start, there's these apps which is you're listening to it for a purpose, whereas this is a different type of meditation that he's talking about. Like I listen to those apps because I like the woman talking to me and talking me through like a full body scan, or there's this woman that I listen to most nights, and she talks about all different random shit, but it kind of like, it's curiosity for me as well, because it gets me thinking about different things and like real peaceful things that I wouldn't usually think about. And generally it does put me to sleep at night. Whereas I feel like this meditation is really for yourself. Like you're doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're doing it all for yourself, but they're just different purposes. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not plugged into an app. We're on tech so much. Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, can you do a guided meditation for us? I'm like, no, go plug into a free app. Like, I teach you to become self-sufficient. No more apps, no more plugging in, no more being guided. You don't have to see me again if you don't want to, once you've learned. That's the beauty of it. And that's the whole idea of this, is you become this, self-sufficient person who can do it wherever you want.
Apps off. I think the struggle for me to understand, or the struggle for me to meditate, is such a sign that I need to do it like so badly.
Well, I mean, where there's resistance, there's something in it, right?
That's what I feel like my key taking is from this just chat so far, is that when you meditate, you really your expectations are to have a clear mind, and like you think the purpose of this meditating is to not think about anything and not have thoughts. But when the days that your mind is super busy, when you've got monkey mind, they're the days that your body and your brain and your everything is like really working through stuff that you need to work through. So you just need to be with that, you can't resist. Really like that.
Tame the monkey mind, doll.
So even, the monkey mind and the thoughts, they're always going to be there. But what's also happening in meditation is we're rewiring how our brain operates and our response to things. So things that used to maybe trigger us would go into some negative spiral. We start shifting that because you're in your meditation, you've got this mantra and it's an anchor. And so every time you go off in a thought, you just come slowly back to the mantra and you're strengthening a muscle. And so throughout the days when you previously used to I remember I used to drive in my car and I'd be thinking about a meeting and I'd have a half an hour argument in my head with my boss, and I'd get to the meeting and it never ended up that way. That was a waste of energy. And even in terms of stress, like that's double stress on the system.
That is so true. I do shit like that all the time. Do
you go.
Do you, talking about back to like how we get physical benefits from IVF? I mean, so from meditation, do you think we can get we can prep our bodies for IVF and pregnancies?
Looking into a lot of research around it, there are there's stories of people of women who have really struggled and then started practicing some kind of meditation or mindfulness and something's happened. And there's also a lot of research that is showing that stress doesn't impact the effectiveness of IVF. And so it's not conclusive. However, from what I see and look at, stress in itself throws our bodies out of balance. It's about survival in the moment. And what it's doing is it's throwing into gear our sympathetic nervous system. And when that happens, we pump out adrenaline, we pump out cortisol. We're looking for threats. We're focused down. We're looking for the negatives. It's always negative because that's how we survive. When we can pick out all the negatives, that's how we survive, right? All our digestive processes, all our immune system, that all goes to the back burner. Procreation doesn't matter if you're about to survive in the moment, right? That's where this system comes from. And so it's not an environment conducive to healing or growth in any way, being in a level of stress. And then on top of that is going through, I've had a few friends who have gone through the process, and to see the impact it's had on their bodies and I didn't realize the impact. I met them, I was like, wow, like their hormones, and I was like, poor thing. Like it's so stressful to go through that as well. And then that adds extra stress on the body as well. And now when we are in particularly chronic stress, so we're constantly worrying about things or how it's going to go, and is my body going to be in this right environment for it to all happen? When we're in that state, we're pumping out cortisol, and cortisol in itself, that impacts the messaging between the brain and the ovaries, right? So ovulation can be dysregulated. What's also happening is when we're under stress is we age quicker. Aging is not conducive to fertility. What also is happening when we're pumping cortisol into our system and we're not using it up is it's away at our muscle tissue, which impacts metabolism, which can help us put on weight. Weight also isn't conducive to an environment for these things either. When we're fatigued, right? If we're stressed, it can lead to insomnia. Insomnia has a direct impact on our ability to, all these things as a byproduct of being stressed, put our bodies into a state that isn't conducive for conceiving. And also then when we go through the experience, we've taken on a lot of stress. Your bodies take on a lot of stress, and you hold on to that. And if you're not giving your body the right tools to process that, you got to hold on and carry that on as you go. So I would say that practicing something that's going to help your body get into a relaxed state, that's going to help you reconnect back with yourself, right, is going to put you in a profoundly better position for any kind of growth experience. And even in terms of like our innate intelligence as human beings, like our bodies are powerful. We grow human beings we don't tell the body what to do, right? Now, when we are in a stress state, we are in like survival, and all that stuff goes to the back burner. You're stressed, you don't heal quite as quickly from sickness or a cut or whatever it is. Now, when you are balanced, you heal quicker. So I would argue that if anyone's really serious about getting their brain and nervous systems regulated and in the best state they can, like our nervous systems impact everything we do. And our nervous system is one of the fundamental things that meditation is working with, regulating and helping to relieve. So, meditation is just one of those, I teach as a foundational technique. Like it's like you want to build a house, you start with a strong foundation, which is nervous system.
So
Hello.
sorry.
Hello, Minnie.
I don't know what to do about this.
Elodie's just had to pop off and drop some milk off to Minnie. But I know we've sort of spoken about, so do you not use apps at all?
No, never. The whole intention of this technique is that you won't need the apps anymore, right? So,
Okay.
I mean, the apps can still be cool to have. Like this technique here, for example, it's not designed
Yeah.
to do before you go to bed to put you to sleep, but it'll
Yeah.
start working on your body so
Yeah.
you will fall asleep quicker anyway. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it'll mean you
Yeah.
won't be anxious, so you don't need the apps. That's
Yeah,
kind of
right.
how it works, yeah.
And so essentially, in a nutshell, what you do and what this type of meditation is you get taught by a teacher, which is yourself, and then it's essentially something that you take away, and then you learn how to do that, and you kind of just follow through, and it's not something that you need to do every week with you. Once you kind of learn the technique, then you're kind of good to go on your own.
Yeah. So basically, to learn, we do it over 3 workshops, and once that's if you did the full version. So I give 2 options. One is the full version because there's a ceremony in that. It's like a little gratitude ceremony. You get to hear me sing. It's in a Sanskrit language. So you won't understand a word I'm saying. And that's the full version where you get your own private mantra. Or for some people, they're like, I'm not ready for that just yet. I'd do a higher level. There's no ceremony, but then you only get like a choice of a couple of more high level mantras. So I kind of give a choose your own adventure with that. But once you've learned, you don't need me ever again if you don't want to.
When you say a mantra, like what are we talking? Like can you give me an example of one?
Well,
Yeah, is that really
that is a mantra?
That's what,
it's just it'll be a sound.
Do some people have specific mantras that they're given and it's a secret? Because I've heard some yogis and meditative people be like fully like you can't tell each other your mantras.
Really?
Is that right?
Yes, correct. So if you learn this with me with the high level universal mantra doesn't matter. You can. I mean, I recommend that you just keep it yourself for a few reasons. And if you learn the full version, then you'll get a mantra which is designed to be just for you. And part of that is because this is a word that has no meaning to it. There's no attachment to it, and it's just for you. And if you then start sharing it around in the world, writing it down, telling people about it, someone like, oh, that sounds like this person's name, or this sounds funny, or they laugh, and it loses its power. It's like, oh, suddenly it's this other word again that you're using all the time. So to get the most out of it, keep it to yourself.
So is it just a random, like you just literally make up a word, or is it like pineapple or
like mondo
dolphin
or something? Like
they're not actual things.
No, I've studied. I've been taught the mantras. So
okay. So there's specific mantras, and you teach. We pick one from you. Gotcha.
No,
I choose one for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm following.
Yeah.
So do you have like 10 different ones that you just delegate and you reuse them?
To do this.
So there are different sets of mantras. So I had to study for about 18 months to do this. There are like 7 different iterations of mantras you can get.
Okay.
So the first set of mantras there's less than 100, and based on like what I've studied, it's quite simple. Like I'll know what mantra you're gonna get as soon as you walk in the room. You tell me your past experience, your age. I'll go, cool, this is what you're gonna get, and
cool,
and that's how it goes. Yeah. I don't sit there and channel and go, oh, she's gonna be a mango. Yeah, let's go. Like it's not like that.
He looks into his third eye and he's like, and then we can't tell each other's mantras.
Are you actually gonna follow through with this?
I mean, if you're going, no, look, I need this.
Listen,
I will go.
Negativity already associated with it.
Oh my gosh. No. Look, I do need this. So let's go. Where are we going and how long does it take and stuff?
Going to his website.
No.
We will definitely leave all the information for our listeners about the course and the courses and your contact details in our show notes, so people can, if you want to do it as well, you guys can. But now that I've got Elodie back in the room.
Sorry, Minnie was having a moment there.
Yeah, we had a mini moment. But
she's with my mum, but I had to attend to her. I haven't just left her in a room and shut the door. She's got a babysitter.
So I'm sure that you've done a bit of research about us. Elle lost her partner two or so years ago now, and a lot of our listeners come to us in like sort of times of despair, or they've been pushed to our podcast or recommended by other people when they've suffered these crazy traumas and losses and stuff like that. Do you have any like advice or guidance, or like, you know, when people are going through these types of traumas, to sort of like help them with their healing? Obviously you're going to say this meditation, but do you have any other advice in that domain?
So one of the most powerful things to understand is that our body heals via feeling. And so a lot of us, we can tend to we spend a lot of time up in our heads trying to solve and overthink and rationalize. And unfortunately, that, while it can be really helpful to try to reframe how we view things, there's a level of physical, like energetic trauma that we hold on to. And a really, really important part of the healing process is feeling of the physical. So when we experience something traumatic, our body holds on to that. And for a lot of us, we then become very good at like numbing, and we stay busy, or it's social media, or it's drinking, or medication, or sex, or who knows what it is. We keep ourselves busy and often up in the head, and the physical is just like we do things to numb. And
that's me to a T.
Yeah, it's actually counterintuitive, because our bodies need to feel to move through, and this is the discomfort, right?
It's scary.
It's I totally get it. Like, you sit there and it's like, what could come up? And then the stuff comes up and it feels really uncomfortable, and it's like, can I handle this? I want to go back there. Now, the thing is, unfortunately, is that while we still hang on to the trauma in our bodies, there's a fair chance that's going to keep coming back up and back up again. Now, if we allow ourselves in a safe environment, you know, snippets of being okay with like feeling and letting it move through the body, and accepting that whatever comes up, maybe it's pain, maybe it's anger, like journaling on it's really powerful as well. And knowing that expressing is actually a really, really good thing to do. And if we hold on to it, what's going to happen is it'll build and it'll build and it'll build until the point where it'll start, like, almost like, imagine you've got a soda bottle, you shake it up because you've got, you know, this big experience, and you're like, I'm just going to ignore it, and it keeps getting shaken up each day because you keep every time you relive it, your mind can't tell the difference between the actual experience and your mind reliving it. So that's the stress. And again, so you kind of keep shaking it. But imagine if every day you're just like, all right, cool, you know, I'm just going to allow a little bit of this to be felt, and you just go and take the pressure off. And the next day, okay, I'm just going to experience a bit more of this and take the pressure off. And slowly but surely, you're releasing the pressure. And it might mean you got to cry and punch a pillow, or go under the water and scream under the water, or, you know, there are lots of different like body work techniques. Breath work is a really, really powerful technique for allowing the body to move through trauma as well, because we often forget about the physical, and it's all up in here, you know. And therapy is powerful, and, you know, CBT is really powerful, but often we forget about the nervous system and the physical. So that would be one part of it, is to really place some attention on your ability to accept some of the feeling component of what comes with it, which I know is scary and isn't nice, but that's what we need to move through.
I feel like I would say that to people as well, because I completely agree and I understand exactly what you're saying, but I just don't know if I practice it. And I think maybe I practice it in tiny little snippets, but I definitely don't like completely succumb to it. And it's fucking scary. That like scares the shit out of me. But I know I obviously, like I said, I need that.
Yeah. I mean, and this is also that the technique of meditation can actually create an environment for you to slowly start getting used to a slight release of that in a safe environment, where you're just quietly in a room by yourself or with a friend or partner or whatever, and you can allow your body to start getting used to some of that feeling, because that's where the discomfort meditation comes from, your body feeling stress.
Fuck's sake. Oh my God. Wow.
I'll just waiting for the car to come busting through the lounge room.
I actually
Genoa must
cannot-
think that we are just absolute a pack of idiots here. Like,
Wait, Genoa's like, what kind of business are these idiots running? These girls are monkeys. We need a drink after this. Oh, we need to meditate after
wait,
this.
no. So to our listeners, we just want to give you a brief update of what has actually gone down in this episode. The poor guy, we've had to click stop and start about 40 times because there was a delay in the audio. And then Minnie's been squawking. Then we've just had friends just like rocking in the room. Then the dog's been barking, squeaking toys. And then the mailman just came. So you're a legend for sticking through this.
Yeah,
Genoa. I'm
got
so
things
sorry.
to do. He's got meditation to do. He's like pushed all his appointments back because this house is a monkey house, a monkey mind, monkey house.
Yeah, so sorry about that.
Sorry, everyone. Anyways, one quick thing that I'd love to know. Well, yeah, you know, what about when you're hungover? Can you meditate your hangover away, or is there a quick fix there?
I know this very well. So obviously, when you're a bit on the piss, your sleep is horrendous. So when you wake up the next day, you are
Yes.
fatigued. Your body's trying to process. You put your body under stress, and so when you're hungover, the last thing you want to do is meditate. And also, your decision making is very short term because you're like, I need food, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need to feel better, I need the dopamine hit. And so what meditation does is, and I still find that if you can just like drag yourself up, close your eyes and do it, because 20 minutes of meditation is like maybe 1 to 2 hours of deep rest, right? So what this is doing is like it's power charging rest and recovery for your body. So I always wake up like headache, gross, I'll meditate and I'm like, I feel a bit better because your body is like giving your body like a power packed recovery in 20 minutes. So it's the last thing you feel like doing, but one of the best
How
things
do
for
you
you.
not fall asleep though?
So sometimes you might.
I don't think I'd be worried about falling asleep. I'd be worried about like my mind. I'd be like going, you should have been drinking that much. You shouldn't have done that. You've stayed up all night. Like
You
that
embarrassed
would be,
yourself last night. Why did you say this to that
yeah,
person?
that's where I would go with it.
Yeah.
Freak me out.
The monkey mind.
Well, that
He's over here.
next day anxiety blues is going to come anyway, and what meditation is going to do is actually decrease that.
It
That's
does
so
make sense.
yeah. We all need a bit of that. A lot of that.
Before we put you through any more torture of this internet situation, Elodie's going to get new internet for next time. But we really just want to say thank you so much for being on this episode. We've loved every second of it. Honestly, like I've learned so much. I'm like going to sign up, do your course. So is Elodie. We're going to keep ourselves accountable.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You've basically bullied me into it and made me so profoundly aware of how much I need this in my life.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm glad that was good fun, girls. We got there in the end.
See you, Genoa. Thanks so much.
See you, girls.
Welcome to our Asking for a Friend segment.
Yes, asking for a friend. You ask, we tell, right here, right now. So if you have a question, you can head to the link in our bio on Instagram, or we'll put it in our show notes. Send us the questions and we will answer them for your ear holes. Do you girls have a daily routine you follow, i.e. what time do you wake up, eat food, sleep, etc.?
At the moment, not a super regimented daily routine. I guess with Minnie it's changed, but I've always been an early riser and always go for my walk on the beach with Rummy.
Rain, hail or shine.
Yes.
Coffee?
I drink coffee, I eat, and I sleep pretty well at night. I'm like trying to think of my daily routine at the moment. It changes every fucking day at the moment. So hard to say.
Now that the iPhones have got that new sleep mode thing, you know, like it tells you what time to go to bed at night. I have that setting on. So like I think at like 9:30, I'm actually well in bed before 9:30, but at 9:30 it goes off, puts my phone on do not disturb so I don't get any notifications and stuff like that. I go to bed. I've actually been sleeping pretty good lately, which is amazing because I was very, very restless for the last couple of years. But yeah, I don't know, it's calmed down a little bit. But so I wake up at 6:30 every morning. I really want to get out of the habit of picking up my phone and going on my phone before I get out of bed, start just jumping out of bed. I find when Paul's away, I jump out of bed straight away and I like will go and do a class or something like that.
Yeah.
But when he's here, not that he's even there, like I just like pick up my phone and muck around on my phone.
Muck around, Chloe.
Muck around on my phone. There's no other mucking around going on in the mornings. I tell you.
Bit of mucking around under the sheets still.
Mucking around under the sheets.
No, I do remember what my thing that I like to do every day is always go to a cafe, a coffee shop before or after the beach, and always meet up with a friend or two there. Like someone is always available to meet up. That's where I have my daily kind of like therapy chats and fucking just talk about nothing and just have coffee and get into the day, and then I go away and that's when I get shit done. And I do mini and I do all the things, you know, the day happens. But I love my morning banter with the chicks or the dudes or whoever's at the cafe.
And then we usually do podcast recordings mostly in the mornings, not today.
Around 9 or 10 or at this case fucking 6 p.m.
Do emails, eat lunch, and I like to try and be on the couch like as soon as the sun goes down. Watch some TV, get comfy.
I haven't watched.
The sun goes down so bloody early these days that I get that tired. So I get a solid 9 hours sleep, I reckon.
This question's fried my fuck you.
Sorry.
This question's fried my brain because I'm like, routine, what even is that?
So it works for both.
Yeah.
To have a routine or not to have a routine.
Good question though. It really got my brain trying to think. Definitely didn't even answer it properly. But anyway. Thank you, Shalink. See you next week.
Bye.